Reincarnation is a concept discussed in numerous religious and spiritual texts. The famous 20th century American psychic Edgar Cayce once said, "We have lived and died many times. The reason we don't remember our former lives is because our vast soul memories are not transferred to our baby brains at birth." There have also been many accounts from those who have had near-death experiences regarding having seen their past lives while outside this physical realm. This week on our program, the first in a three-part interview with her, we speak with American psychic researcher Dولورس Kánnan. Ms. Kánnan has carried out extensive work in the field of paranormal research and is a well-regarded lecturer on accessing past life knowledge, the meaning of the year 2012, and the works of ancient French clairvoyant Nostradamus. She travels around the world holding seminars and workshops focusing on these and other psychic-related topics. Through working with her clients to remember their past lives, Dولورس Kánnan says she has learned many of the secrets of creation as well as how our universe functions. To date, she is the author of many books, including Keepers of the Garden, Conversations with Nostradamus, and The Convoluted Universe.
I started in the 1960s. During that time, my husband was in the Navy, and the Navy doctor asked me to work with a client. He said, "Can you just get her to relax?" That's all he wanted us to do. Instead, during the relaxation part and the normal hypnosis, she went back to a past life in the Roaring '20s in Chicago. In those days, there was no such thing as past life regression. Nobody knew anything about reincarnation. Nobody knew anything about it. So people say I was kind of like a pioneer because we'd never heard of it either. When I come to something I don't understand, instead of being afraid and back off, I always want to know more. So we kept working with this woman, just out of curiosity, and she went back through 5 different lifetimes to when she was created by God. And that was quite astounding. We had people coming to the house to listen to the tape recordings. We had the portable tape recorder of the day, which was those great big machines with the big reel-to-reel. People were coming to the house to hear the latest thing. Past life regression? What do you mean? We've lived before? So it was opening a lot of people's eyes and changing a lot of their belief systems at that time.
The unconscious mind acts like a recording system, which stores every event that takes place during our lifetimes. A past life regression therapist attempts to use hypnosis to connect people to memories of events that occurred during their previous lifetimes. Those who choose to undergo the therapy are often seeking answers to unresolved emotional, physical, or psychological issues that may have origins in a previous life. Many spiritual masters have reminded us how karma, whether good or bad, accumulated in our past lives affect us in our present-day lives. One consequence of wrong conduct in a previous life may be that the person faces a serious illness in the present one.
It's what hundreds and hundreds of people have discovered going through the death experience in the past life. And they all report the same thing. They all go to the same places on the other side. And there is no punishment. There's nobody sitting up there ready to strike you down. But you judge yourself. And there's no harsher judge than you yourself. So everything in your life you have put there and you've created. So you create the illness too, to teach you something. And it'll start out slowly and subtly with just little things. And if you don't get those hints, little things, and you don't get a little worse and a little worse, and if you don't understand it, then a little more pain, and then maybe a little more pain, till finally it develops into something that can be a disease or an illness. You have to go to the hospital or have surgery.
The Holy Bible's Book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 7, states, "For as he thinks within himself, so he is." In other words, one's thoughts are powerful and can change us and our future.
You're really a very powerful being, but you don't realize when you come to Earth, you forget all of that. And we have access to this part all the time, but we ignore it. All the information I've written about, it comes through my clients. It doesn't come through me. One of the main lessons you come to Earth to learn is how to manipulate energy. Everything is energy. Mm-hmm. And you come to Earth to learn how to manipulate that, to be a master manifester. So once you learn how to manipulate energy, you can have anything you want. Nothing is impossible. They say there are no limitations except the limitations you put upon yourself. First, you have to know what you want. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say, well, I need this, I want this. Those are the wrong words. Uh-huh. In creating your reality, if you say, I need, I want, well, see, you're creating a lack. And you're putting it off by, I want it. No, the wording is, I have it. And you've got to believe it. And it's the law of the universe called the law of abundance, the law of attraction. You can have anything you want once you know what it is. And that's what I do. I just say, okay, guys, this is the next project, do it. And it happens, now everything is happening so fast. Used to take months to get something. Now it'll happen in a matter of days, in a matter of hours, and they say even second by second. Once you have put it out there, the main goal, the objective, you have to be able to visualize that goal too, what you really want, and be able to fill it full of a lot of details. This makes it become real. But once you put it out there, then people say, okay, now how am I going to do it? Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about, I have to do this and this and this to attain that goal. Mm-hmm. Because then you're limiting them. Mm-hmm. It'll happen in ways you can't possibly imagine. Ways you would never, ever think about. It just occurs. That's why we say we sit back and watch the magic.
A great enlightened master of the East, Gautama Buddha, once said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become.
You realize the power of your own mind, too. I get so many clients who are into the victim mode. Woe is me, poor me, everything happens to me, everything is dumped on me. They don't realize they're doing it to themselves. But you have to have an idea of what it is you want before you can create it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you have the whole world. Right. Everything is out there. There are no limitations, but they got to know. Mm-hmm. If you're vague, they're vague, and they'll just give you anything. Mm-hmm. And you'll say, well, I think that's what they want. We're not sure. And then you get it, and you say, well, that's not what I wanted. Well, you didn't ask the right questions. You didn't tell them specifically what it was you were looking for. You should know what it is you want, what you want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. The long-term goal and maybe the short-term goals along the way. Whatever it is, you visualize it and picture it. Because if you can see it in your mind as already done, already happened, it must occur. That's a law of the universe.
We learn also from the Holy Bible and other sacred scriptures that all humans are created by God in His likeness. The book of Psalms, chapter 82, verse 6, reads, You are God's. You are all sons or children of the Most High. Since we are created in God's image, we are also endowed with God-like qualities. Indeed, our true self is that which represents heavenly nature. However, some of us tend to forget the inherent love, wisdom, and source of great blessings that we have during our sojourn here on earth.
They're way, way above angels. Angels and guides have their place. They're very valuable because everyone has at least one guardian angel, guide, whatever you want to call it. Everyone has at least one assigned to you when you're born. They have to be with you your entire life. That's their assignment. They're there to help you. People are always saying, oh, I'm all alone. You're never, ever alone. They're with you all the time. And they want to help you. But they've told me, if you don't ask for our assistance, we have no one to assist. You have to ask. They can't interfere with your free will. So the angels and the guardians have a big, important part. But what we're dealing with is way, way above that. It's a huge source. There were no limitations at all. So why not work with something that powerful? It's a very strange story. But once it happened, he said he wanted the prophecies interpreted in modern English for our time, so we would know what was happening.
Nostradamus initiated contact with Miss Cannon, but it was not his spirit that spoke to her through her clients. Rather, she says, it was the prophet speaking to her while alive in his own time.
In the beginning of my work, I didn't understand about simultaneous time. Now I have a little better understanding about it. But he kept saying, you're not speaking to us, the dead, when we're doing this. I'm not a spirit floating around out here. He was living his life in his house in France, writing the prophecies. And it was very interesting because during the whole 3 books, we're interacting in his life. And we learned more about him than anybody else has ever known about him. He was telling us the worst case scenarios. What would happen if mankind didn't do something to stop it? So what he was telling us was what could happen if we went down that path. Mm-hmm. One thing he said is that there is many probabilities and possibilities to the future. It's not set in stone. There are nexus points where something has to occur, points when something they had to appear at that time. From that nexus point, time branches out in many probabilities according to which path you want to travel down. And do you want to go down the path of least resistance, where there will be the least things that will happen, or the worst possibility of that nexus point? He told us that man doesn't know the power of their own mind, that you can change the future. He said anyone can change their reality with their life by just focusing on it, because they don't know the power of their own mind. He said if one man's mind is powerful enough to change the future, imagine the power of group mind, where you get groups of people focusing on the same thing. The power is not only multiplied, it's squared. The power is tremendous. And they wanted me to go all over the world and tell everyone this about the power of their own mind. And I did this for 20 years, and I think we succeeded in changing the timeline. We're not doing the worst that he saw. We're going down a different timeline of least resistance. But it was supposed to have been, we were going to go through horrible wars first to get to this point. So we changed the timeline. And that's why I don't lecture on those anymore, because it's taken a different direction. So I've been through that, and now I'm focusing on my Convoluted Universe book series, because that has to do with complex concepts and theories. It's to stretch the mind.
The 3-volume Convoluted Universe series contains lost knowledge and secrets that Dolores Cannon says were revealed to her over a 20-year period through working with clients in past life regression sessions. Ms. Cannon delves into many complex metaphysical concepts and mysteries in the books. Among the topics covered include the history of our Earth, Atlantis, the Bermuda Triangle, the Ark of the Covenant, and the Shroud of Turin.
There's 3 books, and there are 700 pages each. Each one gets a little more complicated. I call them books for people who want their minds bent like pretzels. They deal with parallel universes, parallel realities, mysteries of the world, the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Bermuda Triangle, everything anybody ever wanted to ask a question about. They have to do with other dimensions, portals, windows, anything you could want to think about. And then it goes into things that nobody has ever thought about. But they said it's time for us to know these things, to broaden our minds.
The ancient Mayan civilization, which flourished in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico and parts of Central America between 3000 BCE and 1524 CE, is recognized by the world for its achievements in art, architecture, agriculture, and advanced mathematics and astronomy. Among their many accomplishments, the ancient Mayans invented a calendar of remarkable accuracy and complexity. based on precise observations of the celestial skies and astute understanding of our solar system's cycles. The ancient Mayans prophesied that 2012 will be a very important year for our planet. According to the Mayan calendar, December 21st, 2012 is the end of a great solar cycle of 5,125 years and the beginning of another. This new beginning is thought to bring about significant shifts in cosmic energy and heightened levels of consciousness in all beings on Earth. Based on her research, what does Miss Kaanen believe will happen in 2012?
An entire planet will shift. There have been other civilizations that have already made that shift. In my past life work, that's where I take people back to every time period you could possibly imagine. And some of them went back to those times, and they were there when the civilization itself developed to the point it didn't have to be here anymore, and the vibrations and frequencies changed to the point that they shifted to this other dimension.
Wow.
And of course, the ones I'm speaking to, they're back in this life now, and I said, why did you come back? And they said, we came to help in this new thing where the entire planet is going to shift. So civilizations have done it, but this is the first time an entire planet is changing in frequency and vibration to go into another dimension. It's already happening. The ones who are into the negativity and who don't believe in any of this, they will stay with the old earth. See, it's a dividing. The old earth and the new earth are splitting off. They will stay with what they have created. But it's okay. They'll eventually get there. It all has to do with free will, so you can't change anybody's belief system. The earth is a living being, and it is going into its next incarnation. It's evolving. Just took it a little longer because it's a larger body. And that's what's going through right now, the changing of the vibrations and the frequencies.
What specific changes will humanity undergo to match the development of our planet?
Our vibration and frequency has to change to match it as it evolves. And this has been happening, I believe it started about 2003, and it's been happening gradually since. This is such a strong energy shift. If it were to happen all at once to your body, you couldn't handle it, your body would be destroyed. So it has to happen gradually. And that's what it's been doing, gradually, little by little. And time is definitely speeding up. Scientists have proved this. Now we're living actually 16-hour days instead of 24. They said the clocks aren't going to show it, but time is speeding up to where everything is accelerated. It's a gradual process that happens little by little, and you won't notice it except there will be some physical effects. And a lot of people go running to the doctors, and the doctors can't find anything wrong with them. These physical effects will happen like for a few days, and then they'll taper off, and maybe you won't feel it again for another week or maybe another month as the body adjusts to this changing and raising of the vibrations. All the ETs, all the other beings out there are watching Earth to see, are we going to be able to do this? I've got lots and lots of questions about what's going to happen. They always tell me, we can't answer your questions because we don't know. It's never happened before. We're all learning in the process. But it is a division, and the old Earth is there for those, if that's what they want. They're staying with what they have created. We're going to move on, but they said eventually they'll catch up. All the disasters, the wars, and everything will be with the old Earth. And you begin to notice a division as you begin to pull away from it. That's what I mean about the old world and the new world.
Wow.
You learn to tell the difference. How many people are noticing their diets changing? This is another big factor in it. They said the best food is live foods, which they consider to be fresh fruits and vegetables. Because if we want to go, we have to make our body lighter. in order to shift, to raise the vibration. In my books, Keepers of the Garden and the Custodians, I've done over 25 years work with ETs and UFOs, and I've not found any negativity whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful, positive beings. What I've discovered in those, they're the ones that created the human beings on Earth. Mm-hmm. It goes all the way back to the beginning of the world. And I've had clients who went back there at those times when the world was being created, when the Earth was volcanic eruptions and lava and all the ammonia in the air. They went back to those times to where their job was to help clean the air out and to stabilize the Earth, because you had to do that before you could have any life here. Then after all that was calmed down, they had to create the water. These are just ordinary people that relived these lifetimes. So you can see, if you'd had a life where you helped create a planet, if you helped create water, give life to a planet, you don't think you can create your life now?
Wow.
You are a co-creator with God. You always have been. You have great powers. You're just on another lesson this time.
Many Holy Scriptures tell us that God has granted humankind the grand privilege of being co-creators of the earth with Him. As God's blessed children, we are endowed with God-like qualities and possess the ability to carry forth His work. Therefore, we are stewards in His Garden of Eden, caretakers of His house, and the custodians of His land. With these powers in our hands, we have the ability to heal our planet.
So they were there when the water was created. First you had to have plants before you could have life. So they're the ones that created the life. They brought single-celled organisms to the planet. Now, people say, where is God in all of this? He's very much there, because God is the one who told them where to go. Mm-hmm. And many of them, this is their job, to go all over the universe, finding planets that have developed to the point they can have life. Earth got to that point that it could cool down enough that we could have life. They have histories of all the planets in the councils. There's councils over everything. And so when a planet reaches that point, it is given its life charter. Then it's decided by these other beings, and this is what they do, and they live enormously long lifetimes, because there is no time anyway. Mm-hmm. And so they're told to go to the planet and start, and they bring single-celled organisms to the planet just to see if they can get something started. And it depends on the primeval soup of the planet, the chemicals in the air, the soil, what is going to develop. They never know. The single-celled organisms begin to clump together to make multi-celled organisms and develop life of some kind. You would be surprised what you could have looked like. It all depends on the development. Where do these cells come from? They collect them from everywhere, and they just see what is going to grow and combine together. And it will begin to develop into plants, into animals, life of some sort. You can imagine how long this would have taken. So I've had people go back to lifetimes when they were the seeders, trying to spread life to get it going. But if you can get something going, then they come back over eons of time and groom it to get it to go. Like plants have to be there before you have animals. A lot of the animals were brought from other planets just to see what would grow here and what would evolve here. So they said, give this beautiful planet a being with intelligence and free will, and see what he does with it. This is one of the most difficult, challenging planets to live on. So to come here, you have to be a master manifester, even be allowed to step foot on this planet. Because it's so hard, the lessons are so hard. And then when you come, of course, all the memories erased. You forget the rules. You forget why you're here. As the animals began to develop, they picked the monkey to manipulate the genes in order to create people because it had a big brain capacity and it also had hands. You've got to have hands if you're going to create tools. You know, we are about 98% compatible genetically with the ape. So we are so closely related. So they picked that one and they began to manipulate it to create a being that would turn into an intelligent being.
In the American television science fiction series Star Trek, the protagonist, the captain of a spaceship that visits different planets, was bound by the Prime Directive set by a United Nations type organization called the United Federation of Planets. The Prime Directive states that he is not to interfere in the development of civilizations. Ms. Kaanen says that the Prime Directive is an actual law of our universe.
Now, there was one other rule that was definite in this. It's the Star Trek Directive of Non-Interference. It's real, it's not fiction. Because they said you cannot interfere with the development of a civilization once it's begun. You give them free will, and then you have to just see what they're going to do with it. So I asked them, okay, you're coming and you're giving them the next advancement when they need it, as they go along. It could be anything. Once they get one part, then they bring another advancement when the timeline is right. So I said, isn't that interference if you come and tell them what they should do? They said, no, that is a gift we give them one time, what they should be doing next. And what they do with it is free will. It's up to them. And most of the time when they take it, they use it in the wrong way, mostly turning it into a weapon or something that is negative. And I said, can't you just come back and tell them they're doing it wrong? They said, no, that's interference. The only time they are ever allowed to interfere is if we were to get to the point we were going to blow up the world.
Right.
They said that one little planet, if it were to destroy itself, it would have reverberations throughout the solar system, throughout the galaxies. It could cause untold damage, even spreading into other dimensions where there were other civilizations. So if we ever got to the point we were going to blow up the world, they would have to step in and stop it.
Given the Prime Directive, it would appear the universe is unable to aid humanity except under the most dire of circumstances. However, Dolores Kaanen says there is another way that the universe still helps shape our planet's destiny.
They said we can't interfere from the outside, but maybe we can influence from the inside. The people on earth can't do it. They're caught on the wheel of karma, going round and round. We need pure souls who have never been on earth before, who have never been caught up in the wheel of karma. So the call went out for the volunteers. Who wants to come and help Earth? Earth is in trouble. These are pure souls who have not been contaminated by Earth. One of the rules is when you come in, you forget. We're the only planet where we forget our contracts, we forget our association with God, and we have to stumble back and discover it all over again. It's a very challenging planet. They have volunteered to come to Earth to help Earth. Of course, when you get here, you have no memory, it's erased, and they think, what in the world am I doing here? They don't understand these people. I found 3 waves of volunteers. Some people will go back to planets where they've, in other lives, where other dimensions, never been on Earth before. Other ones go back to God, or what they call the Source, and have never, ever left the Source, never been in a body at all. Now, the 3rd wave are the children. And many of them now are in their early teens. They're the hope of the world. They are coming in with all of the DNA has already been changed. They are here to do their purpose. Of course, they don't know it consciously.
Thank you, Dolores Cannon, for sharing your research regarding the creation of life on Earth and how the universe aids our planet in its development. We are grateful for living on such a beautiful planet and are heartened to hear there are beings both from our world and beyond actively working to achieve peace on Earth. For more details on Dolores Cannon, please visit www.ozarkmt.com. Books, DVDs, and CDs by Miss Cannon are available at the same website. Bright viewers, thank you for your presence today on our program. Coming up next is Words of Wisdom after noteworthy news. May all of humanity join hands together and forever look after each other as family.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/SS